Next, we have the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Mind Off. Can you hear us? How you feeling? We live, sir. We live. Welcome to CTC Radio.
What's cracking, guys? How you doing?
Good, good, man. It's a pleasure to have you. I'm really happy that you could join. For those that are just joining, because some people are trickling in here, this is CTC Radio. We're the only radio station committed to the coast. We play 805 hip hop and R&B. This is brought to you by The Source, slow.com for all your cannabis needs. We have a producer, engineer, and instrumentalist extraordinaire, and now artist, Mind Off, in the building. But please introduce yourself to the people. Let them know what you do and where you're from.
So my government name, Alec Bertrand. I'm a recording engineer in Ventura, California. I pretty much record most of the 805 at Record X Studios off of Johnson and Ventura. I've been doing music for about 10 years now. Started off playing guitar. I went to college for that, studied music there. And then I went to Icon Collective after I graduated in Burbank, studied music production. And then I got my recording engineering job at Record X Studios and have been there for 3 years now, and I'm recording the 805 full-time job.
Dope. And so you're a head engineer there, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's dope. Congratulations. We gotta clap it up for that. I love that. Tisha, he
Thank
says,
you.
Mind
Appreciate
Off,
that.
my guy in the chat.
Hey,
And Mighty Soul says,
let's
"Hey,
go.
yo,
T.
Maddie."
Shahid.
Yes, sir. T. Shahid is one of them ones. So it's funny, man.
That's right.
I'm reading your I was reading your I read it last year when it came out, but I was reading your Underground Magazine profile, and like one of the first lines it says in the profile is that you're not an artist. But fast forward to 2023, here you are with, you know, one of my favorite songs, quickly becoming one of my favorite songs. What made you decide to hop fully into? I've seen you perform before, so I know you've been in your artistry, but it feels like you're really committing to it in a different way. What
Okay.
made that change? What brought about that change?
Yeah, I think as like a musician first, like learning guitar and things like that, and you're just around artists, vocal artists all the time. You want to eventually just like take part. My job as a recording engineer, I'm constantly saying like, try this again. Or maybe do it like this. Like watch that pitch. It just eventually at some point you're kind of like, man, I want to do something like that. So, I guess after recording people for 3 years, it's made me kind of want to start rapping and doing things like that and writing. And so, it seems like it's almost inevitable for engineers to, start making their own music too.
I feel that, and I mean, it's either one of those things like what came first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing, like.
Exactly.
But we were
Exactly.
just talking to OG David James about like his relationship with engineers and how much trust he puts in them and how much of a difference they make. As you being the artist and then we also talked about kind of the need for a team and like how everybody needs to know their strengths and play their role, and that gets increasingly harder as everybody is going to YouTube University and learning how to do everything on their own, right? So how does you being the artist and the engineer affect your art, or does it make it better? Does it make it harder?
It depends, so I would say a strength where it helps me out is that like, as far as like making the music, I can make my own beats. I can record myself. And, since I have access to a studio, I can take as much time as I'd like. So I think that that's definitely a big strength. Where I would say maybe it's a weakness is that like, especially as engineers, I think that we're kind of like people behind the scenes. We're not used to the limelight. And so I think in that respect, that's something that I'm really having to learn how to deal with. Like being on stage is not my strength. Like music videos, like being on camera, not my strength. So, it's going to take time and like learn how to do it. But I love music so much and I want to express myself and do that. And so it's like one of those things that I just have to keep coming back to and just getting better.
That's dope. How do you feel about as a lead engineer at a traditional studio? Because I mean, I still think there's, until you actually have that experience, there's really no comparison to home studios and and major studios. They're just really, especially like with the experience behind the board that you get. But how do you feel about this do-it-yourself culture as far as everybody learning to engineer and preset plugins and things like that?
I think it's great. I think it's great. Obviously, like there's some drawbacks to, when everybody has access to a laptop. I think that, some studios struggle to like keep up with the competition of like, well, why go to a studio when you can record yourself? But I do think that some of that had to do with like, at the time, most studios were like created to record bands and record like like a full blown band, and like rock was kind of like more of like the mainstream. But around the time that kind of hip hop began taking like hold of like the culture, is also kind of coincided a little bit with computers coming up and like like drum machines and things like this. So you needed less and less and less people. But now every kid wants to be a rap artist. Every kid, and so like at Record X, it's a vocal studio. It's the overhead is low, and we get tons and tons of clients. So some people might be like, well, there's a lot less work, and it's like, yeah, sometimes, especially with certain genres, there's less work, but there is a lot of work out there. It's just that sometimes you have to adjust and adapt to changing times. Things like AI. I don't know what that's going to bring, and but it's definitely going to require, I think, everybody in the industry to adapt.
Facts.
So these things are always happening.
Facts. I don't want to ignore the chat, so let me see. I don't know if this is Ilani or Liloni just joined. Thank you for joining. Please share the stream if you can. Palafox is in the building. He says, yo, thank you for joining. Please share the stream if you can. Mighty Soul, thank you for all the tags. We appreciate that. Shame, he says, bot YouTube University. That's a fact. Tisha Heed says, it's a craft like any other. You got to work at it and hone it to be the best or good at it. I love that. Ashley Lauren Harrison just joined as well. Thank you for joining. Please share the stream if you can. We're talking to Mind Off. Where are you from? Where do you claim? I just want to make sure I'm saying the right place.
So I grew up in Thousand Oaks. Moved out to Oxnard when I was going to college, and now I'm in Port Hueneme.
That
always in the 805.
Dope. Thousand Oaks 805. So that's what's up. So it's funny because like I remember like going to my first underground event and like telling Popsky and Andrew that San Luis is the 805 too, and they're like, yo, we didn't even know that, yo. Like so we're extending we're up here in the northern part of the 805, San Luis Obispo, Paso Robles, all those, Pismo Beach, and it's really dope to extend.
Is Pismo really the 805?
Yeah, 805 goes far.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Like, we're like 123 miles from you, and then it extends probably another 100 miles north of that. So 805 is huge. So
let's go, baby. Shout out Pismo.
That's why we call it Connect the Coast, because we want to connect the South and the North. So that's the history. And we're doing it now because we got Mind Off from Thousand Oaks in the building, which is super fucking dope. So getting back to actually, I want to get into your artistry, but before we do that, I always like to kind of talk to independent artists in here in the chat, because there are a lot of them, and give them some game on maybe what you've learned over the years as an engineer, or what you've learned recently as an artist, getting into the music, on behaviors they can either adopt or divest in to become, greater at their craft. Is there any advice you have out there, or anything that stands out at the front of your mind that you could tell these people?
Yeah, I would say off the top of my head, number one, I think that like, as artists, I think we have such a passion for like music and things like that. So we're always like, we're gonna make stuff regardless. We're gonna go out and do it regardless. But I think it's really, really important to figure out a way to get paid. So I think that a lot of artists out right now, like I hear about people paying to perform. And it's like you have to figure out a way to get paid, because the second you do, first of all, no one can tell you shit. Like, I know a lot of kids like you want to be an artist, but the second you start making money is the second that you get a lot more support, a lot more recognition, and far more of a reason to do it. It can begin to fund you, So I would say just figuring out creative ways to get paid. And I think for artists, like especially in 805, people should be demanding, if they're going to perform somewhere, they should be paid. They're laboring. They worked hard at this, so they should be getting paid, so that's number one. And then number two, I think just in general, like releasing music, it seems like every artist is like putting out singles and not doing like a huge album or something like that, and just doing single music video, dropping stuff on TikTok. They seem to garner the biggest fan base the fastest because people's attention is just usually like if you drop an album, like you'll see like the listening count just drop as the album goes, you know. And I think that like we all do want to put out like a big project that says a lot, but I think that that's something that's better if you once you garner a very big and loyal fan base, that's when the time to do that is, I think.
Okay, that's dope. That's good advice. I appreciate that. Shamey Miller says facts. OG David James says cap. I want to know what he says. You heard that from Russ? I don't know. I don't listen to Russ. So I don't know. Ivy Collins just joined the chat. Thank you for joining. Please share the stream if you can. Do you want to respond to OG David James?
What is he saying? Cap to what?
Yeah, which part? James, drop that in the chat. I don't know which part you're talking about. In the meantime, I definitely want to dig into where this song Jesus came from, because the shit is nuts, bro. Like, and when I remember when I saw the screenshot of it, I can't remember the thumbnail. My God, when I saw the thumbnail of it, I was kind of like, yo, what the fuck am I about to get into right now? Like, I didn't know what to think. Funny. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't know if it was a gospel song or what. But I just, I just it's doubly dope because when you see that title, a title that heavy, like I know it will be to some people, like you're just like, what is this about to be? And then the way you flip everything is really, really dope. So where did that concept come from? Did you grow up religious? I'm curious to know.
Me myself, I'm not religious, at least in the traditional sense, maybe. But my mother is. My mother's very religious, and I love her so much. There's no issue with that. But she's always like, she loves listening to my music. She's like, write a song about Jesus. Write a song about Jesus. And in my first instinct, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna write a song about, like, how would I. But then it kind of stuck in my head, and I was like, what if I did, but just like flipped it on its head, kind of, Yeah. And so I was like thinking about, and I realized I was like, well, there's Jesus, the Messiah, in the Christian faith, but there's also but the word Jesus can also mean other things. So when someone says like Jesus, that doesn't mean they're talking about Jesus. That means what the fuck?
That's a fact.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
So I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny. And then there's also people will say, you need Jesus, which is like, maybe literally they might mean that, but it also means like you need help. Right. I mean, like there's something wrong here. So I thought like, oh, that's kind of funny. So like using the expletive, and like this like thing where it's saying like you need help, or like you're a bad boy or a bad girl, whatever, it's like, and so I was like, oh, let's do that. So that's where that idea kind of came from, the idea of the song. And then also in my music right now, at least I really like trying to combine like new West Coast drums and like rapping like techniques with like EDM, just like a little bit. So like those horns,
yeah,
that's definitely like a tech house horn. You know what I mean? And so to me, I love when people fuse genres together. I think it makes for like something interesting and unique. And all my favorite artists are always like combining genres. Whether it be the Beatles or like Pink Floyd or just like it seems like the people that like everyone like has like such respect for, when we like go back and look at different eras, it's the people that, do something new, with the genres that they had at the time. If that makes sense.
Of course. And I mean, I think Timbaland did that really, really well during the Carrie Hilson, The Way I Are, and the Nelly Furtado phase, blending those EDM sounds. And I feel like part of what I like about Jesus the best is how hard it hits, how clean it sounds, you know what I'm saying? And like, it does have just a little tweak of, a different kind of top line melody than regular like West Coast drums. So it's dope. And then, to throw Jamie on it was a cool idea as well. I love supporting like the women artists out here on the 805, and I see her in her rap bag, so that was dope as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And she just came in for a session one day, and I showed it to her, and she's like, "This isn't you." I was like, it is. And she's like, no. She's like, no fucking way, that's you, because she had never heard me really rap before, you know. And I'm like, it is. And she's like, if no one's on that yet, I got dibs. And I was like, you can absolutely hop on this track.
That's dope.
And so then I just made some space for her, and yeah, and she hopped on. She killed that shit, but she always kills it, you know.
That's
So I wasn't worried.
that's super hard. Marty Soul says, "Hey, that's my girl J Dubs, J Vadova. Thank you for joining. The real Miggy joined as well. What's good? Thank you for joining. Almighty Elijah Scott joined. Jay's POV joined. Thank you for joining. Please share the stream if you can. Trey Anthony in the building. What's up? Thank you for joining. Please share the stream if you can. OG David James responded and says, I love you, Mind Off, but singles do gain a lot of traction, but with the right promo behind a body of work here and there can give genuine fans like myself an entrance into your realm, the real you. Even singles to promote an album is great, but I'm just a fanboy for great bodies of work to show the different phases of your journey, if that makes sense.
I understand that, like I absolutely do, but like, dude, I got a record collection. I love albums. And, you know, at the end of the day, if you want to do an album, you got it in you to do it, do it. Mm. But if we're talking like strictly like bang for your buck, like single music video, you know, because so not everybody has like access to a studio like me. So like, let's just like look at like the cost of like recording an album. A lot, right? It's 12 songs. A cost to record a single, you could do it in a 2-hour session, and then there's the music video. So I get that, like, and like if it's an incredible project, yeah, you're gonna get some eyes on it. But at the end of the day, just a cold hard look at it, you know, I think that just like single music video, it's just like especially for an artist on the budget, you're just gonna get the bang for your buck. But I get what David's saying, and if you're super inspired to do a project, like do it, because like at the end of the day, something that has the most like passion and inspiration behind it is probably going to be the best work, you know. So I get what he's saying, but I'm just saying, like, you know, strictly just like, I think for most people, you're gonna get more for your dollar with singles.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I could feel that. I feel like it is, to me, it's an objective thing. Like I see the path forward of singles just because of how arduous the fight for attention is these days, and like people have shorter attention spans, so I get that. I also see, you know, the benefit of promoting an album. Like one thing that people don't think about with albums is there are 2 UPCs and 2 IRS. So, well, there's a UPC for the album, and then each song has a UPC, and each song has an ISRC, and those are cumulative streams. So, like, even on an album that if you release an 8-song album every 6 months, you know, you're building your streams up way more. Like, because on your artist page, it's just gonna accumulate the streams. You feel what I'm saying? So if you're trying to game the system that way, there is a benefit to that. But at the same time, like Mindoff says, it is way more resource intensive to be able to drop albums if you don't own the studio and if you're not able to get that mix and that master the way that you like it. When speaking of mix and masters, what I really like is the fact that you're local and you do mixing and mastering. I saw that in the link in your bio, and I thought that's really cool because I know for a fact a lot of people on the coast use Lander, but I think that's a really cool thing that we can do if we can go local and you know, keep the business in-house and keep it local. So will you talk a little bit about that and how people can get you records to get mixed and mastered?
Yeah, you know, so like sometimes we'll get people from like you know, like from other states, you know, that hear from us or something. You know, sometimes I think people look at California and you're like, oh man, like they love the scene that's going on over here. So they'll hit us up, and we do have like a mixing and mastering service, you know, that anyone can do. And you know, basically someone will just like send their vocal stems and send the beat stems. You know, I'll mix it, send it back to them. You get like 2 revisions. You know what I mean? So you can do that. We had this kid. He's making waves out here kind of too. He's from Italy.
Okay.
It's D Beats. You've probably heard his beats with some Slump Boys. You know, maybe some of 5-2 Mob.
Okay.
But you know, he's kind of in a similar business. He's sending stuff. So yeah. You know, it's just an option. Yeah, I would recommend though, if you're here, and it's like reasonable of a drive, maybe if you're in Pismo, that's gonna be like a high like price of gas. But if you're right here in Oxnard, like come to the studio because the quality that you can get from recording it in a studio is probably going to be a lot better than you at home. Now, if somebody is like knows how to record properly and has some like good like sound treatment, yeah, sure. But if you're here, come to the studio. But if it's someone far away, it's definitely a really good option.
That's dope. And the beautiful thing about North County is we have a lot of studios. I can't speak for, well, no, Santa Maria, y'all got Room 33 out there. So yeah, all over the coast up north, we have a lot of really great studios. So if people are sending you records, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be, from high quality places that, that have the sound treatment and everything like that. So if you're in the north and you want a different sound, and I can attest, like we're going to play Jesus after this interview. We're almost towards the end. So I do appreciate your time, Mind Off. We're going to play Jesus so you can hear how crisp his mixes are and how loud his masters are. They go hella hard as fuck. So I definitely recommend tapping in, giving him a follow, tapping that link in your bio as well, and in Mind Off's bio as well. Just to get back to the chat, Minority Streetwear is in the building. What's good, Manny? Thank you for joining. Please share the stream if you can. VN19 in the building. Thank you for joining. Please share the stream if you can. OG David James says it's not cheap for sure. That you make a great point. Drop a body that's for the real fans and promote the hell out of those classic singles. It's today's climate and people's attention span. That's the problem. People don't appreciate bodies of work like they used to, and it's sad. I'm for whatever works best for you as an artist. Respect, David James. Rings 805, Richard Cheeto 211, Mac Neff just joined. Thank you for joining. Please share the stream if you can, and you can chime in now. I'm sorry about that. Mind off. There's just a lot going on in the chat.
Yeah. I'll say this too. In David James' favor too, is like there's a lot of timeless albums. You can't think of a whole lot, at least off the top of my head, like a timeless single. So as far as like stuff like that goes, like you want to do something that's like really gonna last and like has something to say. I feel like an album's is the way to go. But
I feel that. So how many songs do you have out on streaming platforms currently?
So here's the thing, bro. I'm all over the fucking place. Okay. Like, I was doing like a little alt R&B thing for a minute. So I did a little EP. I like one song. Coming back to that, I Love Alone still. That's one of my favorite songs. There's 3 songs on that EP. I did like an indie rock, like rap fusion song. That one's kind of cool. Fuck with that. It's One More Time. Then I did like an EDM with like a little bit of like 80s like synth pop. It was kind of like weekendy. That's on there. And then I had the Jealousy Hennessy was like kind of like my first like rap one. That's like EDM with like new West Coast, but a little bit more EDM than new West Coast. And then Jesus right here, it's definitely more new West Coast with just like a little sprinkle of EDM, like not definitely more hip hop than EDM, but just a little, just keep one little foot on the path.
I feel that. So then, okay, that's enough, because I just wanted to make sure you had a deep enough catalog to ask this question. So could you, you're very versatile, so this might be a difficult question, but if you were just introducing yourself to a listener that had never heard you before, what song would you recommend them to listen to get the best sense of who you are?
Of who I am, I would say Alone. That one's definitely like me as a person. You know what I mean? Like my soul, like I think my sensibilities and how I feel about the world sometimes and my philosophy even. But also though, like Jesus though, like right now I'm single. I'm just working in the music industry.
In these streets.
And when I like to go out, I like to have fun. I go crazy. I seem like a kind of soft-spoken person, but when I go out and I go dancing, I go a little crazy. So
I like it.
I don't know. It's all me at the end of the day. But I would say me as a human being, probably Alone.
And then what about you as an artist? Gives the best sense of you as an artist.
I would say the catalog. Because it's so different. Everything's different. You'd see my growth. So I would say the catalog is a representation of me as an artist.
I like that. Listen to everything. So make sure you follow is it Mind Off Music on Spotify?
It's Mind Off.
Just Mind Off. So just like it says in the label just under his video,
Yeah.
Mind Off. Make sure you give him a follow.
Yeah.
And what's the best way people can support you online and support your movement?
Just go on my Instagram, give me a follow. If we got mutual friends, I'll follow you back. Listen on my Spotify. Just stay tuned, and then also if you want to record a song, even if you never recorded a song before, just DM me, hit me up. If you can find a track that you like and you can write some lyrics to it, you'll leave with a finished song.
Okay, I like that. I like that. So you over here facilitating people's dreams. That's what it is. So tap in if you never even recorded before,
Yeah.
and you want to get into it, and then send us the record, and we'll give you our honest opinion on it. Mind Off, I really appreciate you tapping in. We about to play this Jesus. It has been added to CTC Radio as well, so we really appreciate you and your time, and we'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks again.
Cool. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yes, sir. Have a good night. Peace. Let me see. So CTC Radio chat, what's going on? This is brand new music from Mind Off. It's called Jesus, featuring only JME, or just Jamie, my bad. Only JME is your Instagram, but it's Jamie. Let us know what you think about it. I like this joint right here, so turn it up if you feel the same way.
Mind Off, let's go. Jesus, that girl needs some Jesus. The way she taught me how she's always leaving me speechless. Mode need is on my weakness. Bitches in my DMs. Got a pretty guy cause she sucked me like a demon. Christ, that girl needs some Christ. The way she throw it back, I'ma need to hit it twice. Big booty is my vice. Can't believe my eyes. Ass so fat, gotta keep her